Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you going today? Today we're going to look at adding fractions. The steps to add fractions is very similar to last lesson when what we had to do to order or compare fractions. So our title for today, let's write that down first, is adding fractions. The key point is you can only add fractions with the same denominators. If your denominators are not the same, you can't add fractions. So you can only add fractions with the same denominator. I'm going to highlight the word same denominator because that is so important. If you don't have the same denominator, you can't add fractions. So we're going to follow the 4 steps pretty much like last lesson. So step 1, turn all your fractions into improper fractions or proper fractions if they're not mixed numbers. So write as improper fractions. Step 2. Do your fractions have the same denominator? If they don't, then convert them. Change them using the LCD, the lowest common denominator. So step 2, make sure fractions have the same denominator. And for that, use the lowest common denominator. Step 3, once you have the same denominator, you can add the numbers on top. You can add the numerators. And then lastly, make sure your answers are in simplified form because you will lose half a mark if you don't have your answer in simplified form. Check answer is simplified fraction. So let's do a few examples. Example 1. The doing word, the verb is to evaluate, so to work out. Well, we're going to work out what is 1/4 plus 1/4. That's pretty straightforward. So next line you would go equals. So you're checking, okay, are these mixed numbers? Do I have to do any conversions? No, that's fine. Step 2, do my fractions have the same denominator? Yes, because they're both the same denominator of 4. Step 3, add the numbers on top. So 1 plus 1. Do not add the bottom numbers. Just keep it the same because they're the same denominator. So it's 1 plus 1 all over 4. So then 1 plus 1 is 2 over 4. Step 4, check, is your answer simplified? No, because 2 and 4 are both even, so I can divide top and bottom by 2. So I can simplify that to be 1/2. And visually that makes sense to us, right? If you cut your pizza into 4 slices and you take 2 1/4 slices, you do end up with half a pizza, which is what we expected. So step 1, change to improper, if applicable. Step 2, are your denominators the same? If they are the same, you can add the top numbers together. Leave the denominator the same on the bottom. Do not add the denominators. Only add the numerators, the numbers on top. Then simplify your answer where possible. Let's do part B. So we want to work out what is 3/4 plus 5/6. Are they mixed numbers? Step 1. No, it's fine. I don't need to change to improper fractions. Step 2. Are my denominators the same? No, they're not the same. So we need to work out the lowest common denominator and then do some conversions. So on the side, what is the lowest common denominator between 4 and 6? Well, if you list out the multiples of 4 and you list out the multiples of 6, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Does 4 go into 12? Yeah, it does. 4 times 3 is 12. So my lowest common denominator is 12 because the common multiple between 4 and 6 is 12. So what do I need to do to turn my denominators to 12? Well, for the first fraction 3/4, I need to multiply top and bottom by 3 because 4 times 3 is 12. So next line equals, well, 3 times 3 is 9 over 12 plus, what about 5 over 6? How do I turn that to a denominator of 12? Times 2 times 2, because 6 times 2 is 12. So that gets us 10 over 12, because 5 times 2 is 12. Step 2, so we're checking, do our denominators now, are our denominators the same? Yes, they are, they're both 12. So step 3, next line is you add the top numbers together. So 9 plus 10 all over 12. You do not add your denominators. So that gives us 19 over 12. Can we simplify this? Yeah, we can turn it into a mixed number. So 12 into 19 is 1 whole, and remainder 7, because 19 minus 12 is 7. So that's 7 over 12. Can you simplify that anymore? 7 over 12? No, because 7 is a prime number, so that's our final answer. Let's do one more, part C. We want to 2 and 1/10 plus 1 3/4. So step 1, are they improper? No, they're both mixed numbers, so we can change them into improper. So it's 10 times 2 plus 1 all over 10 plus 4 times 1 plus 3 all over 4. So that's 20 plus 1 over 10 and 4 plus 3 over 4. So that's 21 over 10 and 7 over 4. Are our denominators the same? That's step 2. No, because one's 10, one's 4. So on the side, tell me, what is the lowest common denominator between 10 and 4? Well, what are the multiples of 10? What are the multiples of 4? 10 times 1 is 10. Does 4 go into 10? No. 10 times 2 is 20. Does 4 go into 20? Yeah, it does. 4 times 5 is 20. So our lowest common denominator is 20. So you're asking yourself, well, what do I need to do to turn my denominators into 20 for the first fraction? Well, I need to times 2 top and bottom. So I get 42 over 20 plus times 5 times 5, because 4 times 5 gives me 20. So that is 35 over 20. Now, we have the same denominator, so we can add the numbers on top. Do not add the numbers on the bottom. The bottom stays the same. So 42 and 35 add to be 77 over 20. Simplify your answer, write it as a mixed number. Well, 20 times 3 is 60, so that's the closest number to 77, because 4 times 20 is 80, and that's beyond 77. So 20 goes into 77 3 times. So what's 77 take away 60? How much is remaining? 17. So we have remaining 17 out of 20. Make sure your fraction is fully simplified. There's no common factors between 17 and 20. So we're good. So the 4 steps again. Convert any mixed numbers to improper fractions. Check, do your denominators the same? If not, convert them using lowest common denominator, LCD. Only add your numerators, do not add your denominators. And finally, check that your answer is always simplified. If your answer is not simplified, then you